Sam.
And I'm John.
And together we are the Coastal Kids. We've came down to an area of coast that we haven't came to in a long time. It's an hour before low tide, so we've given us the best opportunity to go rock pulling.
Let's go coastal!
Under this rock, you can see the way the creatures rely on each other to survive, because we have some sponges, a hermit crab, dog whelks, sea squirts, and a massive limpet, and an oyster as well.
Here's another good example under this rock. Here's some breadcrumb sponges on top of a scallop. And there's a small one right here. We've also got some whelk eggs sitting in the side. And a really cool oyster.
All these creatures exist in harmony in the rock pool. It's something called symbiosis.
It's the same as all the creatures in the ocean rely on each other. A rock pool is just a smaller version of the ocean.
The small creatures like the hermit crabs keep the rock pool clean, and the filter feeders such as the oysters that we found keep the water clean. These smaller creatures like the hermit crabs provide food for the bigger creatures like bigger crabs and bigger fish. And we've got some in our bucket that we're going to show you.
We found loads of these big clumps of sea squirts around. These guys might not seem like much, but they're really good for filtering the water in the rock pools.
These might be one of the biggest creatures you're going to find in a rock pool, and probably top of the food chain too. These are the blennies.
Just look at them evil red eyes. Another common species that you'll find is a butterfish. Butterfish are really slimy. It's a form of protection.
The slime is also something that helps them keep moist whenever it's low tide and they're under a rock with no water. These creatures are really cool because they're related to a beautiful sea creature called the seahorse, and these ones are called pipefish. The front of a pipefish looks the exact same as a seahorse, so you can see why they're related. They're also really hard to spot in the seaweed because they look like a small strand of thongweed.
Hermit crabs are the cleaner of the rock pool. They scurry around eating all the debris.
We've went away from the rocks and came down to a more wet and sandy area, and I'm going to look for some more creatures that you're going to find down at the sandy places.
One of the coolest creatures you can find out in the sandy areas is The razor clam.
The way to find razor clams is walk along wet sand until you see a squirt of water. Quickly pour salt in, or else it will block up with sand if you take too long. And then, after about 5 minutes, a razor clam should pop out. Grab it and wiggle it around until you feel it gently lifting out. Then you've got it. Here's two that we've already caught, and look at the size difference between them. This is probably a small adult, but this one's not too big, so it could be a kid or a teenager one. This is a scorpion spider crab, and this is a sea potato. This is a type of urchin, and this is a type of spider crab. These are really rare to find because they'd usually be broken and they'd usually be underground, but we're lucky to find one. And these guys are found roaming around near the edge of the water. This is the first time we found these, a long-legged spider crab. They look like the sand, and their legs look like some red seaweed. I didn't know I was going to find one. If you look down in the sand here, you can see how well camouflaged these guys are. See if you can spot them in amongst this red seaweed. He is here. Tell us in the comments if you found him.
I found two other different creatures here. A sea urchin and a large hermit crab. If you look down here, we found a wee bunny who got trapped by the tide. Let's put him back in the ocean.
There's his foot. There it is again. That's what they use to move around and anchor themselves to the bottom of their little holes. But they come up whenever they taste salt, which is weird because they literally live in salt water. We had a quick walk down the beach, and it's a seafood bonanza. I'll show you what we found on the way down to this cool spot. We've only been looking a few minutes, and we've already found loads and loads of cockles. Take a look at the many in this net. And this one's pretty cool because it has heat on right there, or a chitin.
We've also found a few types of these clams.
We've also found some native oysters and some queen scallops. They're really well camouflaged if you see them sitting like this in the sand. Or they can look like rocks, and these guys can actually stick to rocks, unlike these, where you will find them walking along the beach. These guys will be lying on the sand, these guys will be stuck to rocks.
This guy's called a king cockle. Check it, spines on him.
The spikes on a king cockle, which is this one, protect it from seabirds lifting it up like these ones and dropping it onto the rocks to get to the meat inside, because whenever they pick up these guys, the spikes will dig into its beak and they will drop it out of their mouth. But these guys, these are defenseless. They just drop them onto the rocks and get to the meat inside. Not like these guys.
Another spiky friend that we've got is a sea urchin. They would usually stick on the rocks, but we found this guy lying on the sand.
In other videos, we have shown you dog whelks and netted whelks. This guy is a common whelk. They can get really big because they can get, I'd say, about 3 times the size of this one. They have a really special pad right there, as we showed you for the other types of whelks in our videos. But this one's really big, so it can not get eaten that easily.
We also found some of these invasive species called slipper limpets. If you look closely, you can see the way the slipper limpets grow on top of each other's shells.
We don't know what these wee mysterious creatures are. If any of our marine biologist friends are watching, can you tell us in the comments? This is what they look like. Some kind of nudie branch with no slimy hairs or something. We found a dead wrasse washed up, so we picked it up to show you how cool the colours are on these guys. Look how spiky the dorsal fins are. There's a bottom one as well.
As you can see here, we've got some giant razor clams. You'll see in the video how we got them out of the sand.
These shellfish are totally edible, but it's not safe to eat them when there's no R in the month. If you want to see us do a capture and cook on these creatures in September, leave a comment and we'll make that happen.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Coastal Kids.
I think we can agree that we found a lot of cool creatures today.
Remember to like and subscribe.
And look out for something really special coming at the end of the month.
Bye.